So I wasn't aware of the book. It meant a great deal to someone very close to me, but I hadn't put two and two together that it was this book. So when I started reading it, I said, Dede Gardner, I did Women Talking with Dede Gardner, and when we were doing the press for that, she basically said, I've got something that I'm thinking of you for, and she's like the best producer that I've ever worked with, and has the best taste. So I was really excited to read it, and then had a very, very kind of powerful, like visceral reaction to the book, and then realised it was so significant to someone that I loved, and also to so many people, like loads of people who've made the film basically had a really deep connection with the memoir.
So at what point when did you meet the real Helen?
So I met Helen just before we started shooting, actually, on Zoom, and I felt like I'd been given so much in their memoir. It was such a kind of raw and honest and really brave kind of description of their experience that I didn't really feel like I had to ask a bazillion questions. I felt like it was all there for me, really. And they narrated their own audiobook. And so I met Helen as sort of like for a respect for them, and to kind of make sure that it was okay that I was doing it. And then really luckily for me, I've got to spend a lot of time with them after shooting, because we're talking about the film, and that's just been such a pleasure.
Did Helen come to set ever?
Yes, they did. They came to Cambridge, actually, which was really interesting, and really enjoyed how disruptive we were being. Because we filmed in their what do they call it in Cambridge when it's not their school? Their college. In their college. Sorry, I'm very jet lagged, so I'm no longer making any sense. But they filmed in their college, which was incredible to actually be where they lectured and where they actually flew Mabel. But we were only in Cambridge for about 4 days. But yeah, a lot of the family came. Helen's mother, brother, sister-in-law, they all came, and we actually used a lot of Helen's own belongings as set dressing, and Alistair, their father's kind of camera and camera equipment, and like a lot of it was things that meant something to the family.
So when you're taking on someone's real life that they have so beautifully written about very honestly, what's exciting about that for you, and what's maybe a little scary?
I mean, it's only scary, I think. I think it's more that it's there's light. Hello, everyone. I think it's more that it's just such a huge responsibility. I can't think of anything weirder than someone making a film about your life, and especially about something that's so intimate and exposing. I think Helen has an incredible, they wrote the memoir 7 years after their father passed away, and this is now another 10 years on. So there's this sort of beautiful handing over of this to us, which was such a responsibility. But I just, getting my head around what it must be like to be in that position only makes me feel like I want to be protective and like respectful and minimize the impact that we make on their lives, basically.
One of the things about the book that's so striking is how honest Helen is about the messiness and the weirdness of grief, and it's not these 5 steps or an arc. Did you do any other research into how people grieve and how they respond to grief to get into this headspace?
I mean, I'm going to be 42 in 2026, so I've, you get to a certain age, and I think, I have seen grief from a very young age, in all its myriad of different presentations. And I think, I've experienced many losses, and I think that there's what I've experienced from watching other loved ones also go through it. I think that there's no right map, and there's no kind of route. And actually Helen, in the memoir, which sort of was briefly in the film about like a self-help book about grief, Helen actually says in the book that they bought every single book about self-help book about grief as sort of like an academic's way of working through it. Like, I can figure this out. I can figure out how to do this right, and how to make it as quick as possible, and just to get it done, just to grieve and it be over. And thinking that was kind of a way to do it. And there is no right or wrong way, and I also don't think it's something that is ever done. I think it lasts a lifetime, and I think it should be as ugly or not, or it should be whatever that person experiences. I don't think there is really a right or wrong way.
Yeah, it doesn't end.
No.
Let's talk about birds.
Sure.
How many birds did you work with? Like, was there a primary maple? I always love talking about that stuff.
Yeah, so there was 5 birds in total. I only worked with 4 of them because Yuha was the male and he was kind of the aerial bird. He flew high, and I worked most kind of closely with 2 of the maples. I worked Lottie, who was the hunting bird. I worked with a lot, obviously, because there was lots of hunting scenes, but that wasn't a cozy relationship. I was very much a jumping off point for her to hunt, which was a really interesting energy to be around, and interesting because all of them, which is funny, but all of them were different aspects of Mabel, and all of them represented and needed to fulfill for the film a different side of the Mabel's journey. So we had Mabel 2, who was much more nervous of being around people, much more nervous of me because I spent less time with her intentionally to make sure that we were able to capture the reticence that birds, especially goshawks, have when they're being manned, which is to get the hell away from the human being. And then we had Mabel 1, who was the bird who would fly to my wrist and would fly off my wrist. And then we had Jess, who was like the more companionable goshawk, if you can have one, who I would cuddle and kiss and whisper to, yeah. So I had Mabel 1 and Jess were my gals really, and yes, I fell very much in love with them.
Are you like an animal person generally? I'm curious about like what your relationship is with animals before this, and birds in particular, and how it might have changed.
I mean, I had an appreciation of animals. I have a dog, and I think it's like one of those things, like kind of like when you have a baby and suddenly you love all children. As soon as I got my dog, I saw my dog in every living creature that ever existed. And like, I didn't have dogs growing up or anything like that in my family. We had like little rabbits and guinea pigs and stuff like that. And I'm not necessarily an animal person when working. My experience of it has actually been lots of horse training, which have been varying degrees of dangerous and scary. And so no, I definitely wasn't going into this kind of feeling like this was going to be easy. This was a very specific situation because I had to train to be a falconer, which is a skill, an ancient skill, but it's also something that you can't really not do well.
Yeah, you can't fake it.
Yeah, you can't fake it because you're basically safeguarding this wild animal, and so I had to sort of learn in 2 weeks how to do that, and the whole kind of film was depended on whether I could do it or not. So whatever happened, I was going to do it, one way or the other.
Obviously, you spend a lot of time with different maples, but this is just you. What is, back to what's exciting about that, what's scary about that, we're just like, I'm in every frame, and you have to see this very internal journey through my body and through my face.
Yeah, I mean, I find the film really difficult to watch, and it makes me feel quite uncomfortable, and I've never felt that about anything I've done before. I've done things where I've been in every shot before, but there just feels like there's not really much artifice. There's not really, with this, there's no real barrier between me and the camera. So it means I feel like there's not really a barrier between me and the audience, which there shouldn't ever be. But I suppose in this, I just feel like it's one less level, that one more thing is stripped away. Acting is like an exposing thing to do, but I just feel like it's just all out there. I'm all over it, and I think my interior life is all over it as well, which obviously was Helen's interior life, but I feel quite exposed as a human being. But I think that's what it took, really. That's what I had to be. I don't think I ever could have got to the depths of Helen's experience and what that means without also doing that myself. And I think that was really important. I mean, I think that for me, the emotional side of the film was definitely the focus, and not the falconry, which sounds strange, because that was such a huge focus. But I think that most of my kind of time pre-shooting was considering that.
Were you there when Helen and their family saw the film for the first time?
No.
Did you want to be there? What did you hear about it?
So when Helen sent me the most incredible, beautiful email. Helen's a prose and poet. So everything that comes out of them is so eloquent and beautiful. And so I just have this beautiful email and message that they sent me after watching it, which was, beyond generous and gracious, and it also was personal. It wasn't trying to make me feel okay about what had happened. It was how much it had changed them and how healing it was, and their family saw it at the London Film Festival, and Christina came from Australia to watch it, and that's sort of like meeting a celebrity, because you're like, oh my god, real Christina is actually here. But yet there's no need for Helen to have been as generous as they have been, and I feel incredibly lucky that it's turned out this way. It could so easily not been, but that's a testament to Philippa and Dede, because they pushed this up the hill, and with real integrity and compassion in a really beautiful way.
When you do something like this, that is it feels like a very high watermark in your career, which is already very impressive. How does it change the way you want to approach other things after this, other projects, other roles? I
think I had a kind of real shift when I did a film called Women Talking, and then I did a film called All of Us Strangers, which we now. I kind of, this sounds very egotistical, and it sort of is, but there is something sort of very significant to me as a person to suddenly see things that I am in benefit people in a way that feels like it helps them to live their life, or to express something, or to feel something. And I suddenly went, oh wow, like that exists and that can happen. And it's not that I haven't had that before, but I think that I felt very connected to these pieces, and they meant a lot to me as a person, and so I felt like I started then on sort of a journey of what it could be. I mean, I've always been really open to everything. I'm literally up for anything, and so it has to be about the experience of making it for me, which is a very selfish thing to do. But I think prioritizing it as opposed to what the outcome of it, like how many people will watch it, will it do well, like any of those things, how will it be reviewed, any of those things I just think is just irrelevant. And I just think that if you focus on the experience of it and making it as truthful and honest and close to what it means to be a human as possible, then I feel satisfied, and then hopefully that comes across.
I think that's all we have time for. Claire, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Yeah, better than it. Thank you so much.